Hello, everyone. Today, you will hear an interesting story. Another Saturday morning came. Zoya, as usual, woke up early exactly at 7 o'clock. Stretching after sleep, the girl soaked up a little more in the warm bed and then got up. Zoya lived on the second floor, and every morning, going to the window, she saw an inscription made with chalk on the asphalt. I love you. Zoya knew that it was written to a girl who lives on the floor below, and she became very sad because she now lacked a man's strong arms by her side. Zoya was fed up with constant loneliness, tired of waking up alone in the morning. But at the age of 25, she did not yet have a permanent relationship. Yes, there were several acquaintances, but they quickly ended in nothing. The kettle boiled in the kitchen. Having prepared aromatic coffee, which helped her finally wake up in the morning, Zoya sat down at the table. The calm flow this beautiful and usual morning was disturbed by the doorbell. Opening it, Zoya saw a young man in the uniform of a gas service employee. Who are you? Asked Zoya. The man examined the girl from head to toe, tall, slender, in a short dressing gown. But meeting her gaze, he answered in a pleasant voice. Well, the neighbors said that your apartment smelled of gas. Can I come by to check everything out? Zoya replied in surprise, well, good, go through, check. The door closed. The man went into the kitchen, checked the gas, and found that everything was in perfect order. He headed for the exit, saying as he went, everything is normal. So the call is false. Zoya, looking after him, thought that she was so tired of waking up alone that maybe she should try to build her own happiness. And she asked, smiling, will you have coffee? I won't refuse. Answered the man. My name is Misha, by the way. That's how their first acquaintance happened. Their romance took off very quickly. Misha gave Zoya flowers and gifts, took her to the theater and to the movies. His compliments drove her crazy. She seemed to be drowning in his eyes, not noticing anyone around. And most importantly, her mornings were no longer lonely. Now Zoya was waking up in the strong and at the same time tender embrace of her beloved husband. They dated for 4 months before deciding to get married. And after the wedding, their quiet family life began. 2 years later, Zoya and Misha became the parents of a wonderful daughter, Lisa. Everything was fine with them. Misha worked, and Zoya kept their apartment in order, taking care of a child and husband. 5 years of living together have passed. They were a model family. Her friends envied their family happiness and set an example for everyone they knew. In the evening, Misha brought home a voucher for his wife to a sanatorium by the sea. Unfortunately, there was only one ticket. He, of course, would like to go on vacation with the whole family, but he wanted at least his beloved wife to take a break from the constant household. Zoya was very pleased with the care of her beloved husband, and she finally agreed to go to the sea alone. Moreover, many psychologists claimed that even a happy couple needs to rest from each other. Indeed, the marriage of Zoya and Misha was quite successful and also against the background of relationship in the families of friends and acquaintances. The woman ended up in a good sanatorium, delicious food, no need to wash the dishes, bright southern sun, warm sea, and also a huge number of men who broke away from the family chain. They turned their heads as Zoya walked past them with a light gait, absent-mindedly looking into the distance. For 3 or 4 days, she still stopped this mad onslaught of resort gentlemen, but these compliments, eloquent glances, enthusiastic exclamations did their job. And when he appeared on her horizon, she could not resist. Everything was so new and unusual when, having crossed the barrier shame and stiffness, Zoya first experienced what is called the night of love. In his experienced hands, she felt like a real woman who knows how to give pleasure and receive it. Zoya simply did not recognize herself in the morning. She was tormented by a guilt complex, and at night she forgot about everything in the world. She was also perfectly aware that there was nothing like real love between them. From the very beginning, there was clarity and honesty in their relationship. They both understood that as soon as the vacation was over, they would go their separate ways. Therefore, in the end, They parted easily and beautifully without at all shadowing the bright holiday that they gave each other. But problems began at home for Zoe. Having experienced the torment of guilt and remorse, she felt that she loved her husband even more, but the very first night with him brought her such disappointment. The woman realized that what her husband had given her before and what she had previously been quite enough for now after the betrayal at sea does not suit her. Not much time passed and Sawyer got a job. Recently, she was tired of the life of a housewife. She wanted to develop as a person. Today, the sun was shining. A refreshing breeze was blowing and Sawyer and her colleague Yara were in a hurry to meet their partners at the business center. Yara recently went to the country with his wife and stepped on a nail there. They put a bandage on him and forbade him from driving. That's why Zoya was driving the car today. This did not stress her at all. It was more fun together and the company paid for their gas. So Zoya was ready to take her colleague with whom she had become good friends, even to the border. Eagle sighed heavily and collapsed in the passenger seat. He noted, "You have good driving skills." "I'm not worried about the road," Zoya smiled sweetly and gave him a fleeting glance. And Yara was looking through it at the car passing by. "Where are you looking?" the woman asked her colleague. "These boys have been following us for a long time and smiling at you. And you don't pay any attention to them." "I don't need acquaintances on the road." How categorically Yara laughed. At that moment, they were cut off by an attractive man in a blue expensive car. Zoria looked out the driver's side window. The brunette put his hand to his ear with pronounced brutality and pictured a phone and then pointed to the side of the road. The woman pretended not to notice. Eagle laughed at the whole salon. The driver honked at her and winked. The woman's colleague turned out to be very friendly. He jumped up on the seat, reached for the steering wheel and honked, then waved at the handsome man. He, not appreciating this gesture, pressed the gas pedal at the same moment. In a minute, they didn't even see his bumper. "Did you like the man?" "Yeah," I asked. "Yes. To my taste," said Sawyer thoughtfully. "Well, why didn't you stop then?" "Because you were sitting next to me and disturbing me." Zoria said it with such a smile that it was not clear at all whether she was joking or telling the truth. "It is clear," Yara said and fell silent. There was very little left to the final point of their journey. The colleague took out a folder with documents and began to look through them. And then he suddenly asked, "Have you ever cheated on your husband?" "Why do I need this?" "And why do you ask?" Zoria was surprised by this question. She remembered her resort romance. The woman did not forget about him all this time. She wanted to feel those feelings again. "Well, because I like you and we could be friends with you more closely." Zoria was shocked by such a confession, but Yara was not to her taste. He was not at all associated in her dreams with the image of a lover. And she directly told him about it, adding that she has a beloved man. Eagle was upset and harbored a grudge against his colleague in the depths of his soul. They drove up to the business center and started to get out of the car. Jaeger approached the door from the driver's side, took Zoya by the hand and said, "You know, you're right. Because we had a good time." But Zaria only smiled. And they went into the room. After the meeting with the partners, Zoya was suddenly summoned by their new director. She, going to his office, was very worried. Because he was a serious man of 50 years and did not call for trifles. Zoya looked in the mirror in the waiting room, quickly adjusted her curls and lipstick. Her director, although he is a man married, is still quite nice, and she did not want to appear disheveled in front of him. There was only one thought in my head. Why did he call me? Did I make a mistake somewhere? Finally, she came, calmly said the director, who appeared at the door. "Come on. I also have a mirror." Zoya went to Pavel's office. The silence in the neighboring offices began to press on her. Everything was ringing in her ears. Suddenly, the director spoke, and this saved the unbearable moment. "Sit here." He pointed to the chair and sat down next to it. "I'm sorry if I did something wrong. I don't understand how it happened." Zoya began to speak quickly, but the director smiled and stopped her explanatory speech. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Look. What a beautiful evening. You can sit and enjoy the moment. And maybe you will quickly introduce me to the course of the case and we will go home. Insolence is the second happiness, but Zarya already wanted to go home very much. There was a weekend ahead and a lot of plans. Well, as you wish, said the director, got up and took off his jacket. You see, I don't like how your department works, and I decided to fire everyone. The woman's heart sank, cold sweat broke out on her forehead. This idea was more than absurd. A cohesive team that gathered a long time ago, all masters of their craft, there are good results in work, including at today's meeting with partners. It seemed to Zoya that the new boss was not himself. But here he spoke, but I don't want to fire you. You're too good. Pamela, I sparkled, and he began to smile with a pleasant smile. Zorya's body felt like goosebumps, she was overcome with a passionate feeling. I just can't release you. The man took a chair and sat closer. You fell into my heart. Do you understand? His huge hot hand slipped under Zoe's skirt and his fingers rested on the elastic of her stockings. From pleasant and intimate touches, the woman froze, waiting for the continuation. And the director continued, your eyes are so familiar. And the name is like my mother's. Do you know how difficult it is in a foreign city? Pablo reached for her breast with his free hand. Zoya, as before, could not resist the temptation. She surrendered to the director right here on the desk. Ya was standing under the office door. He decided to wait for Zoya to give her very important papers. And suddenly, he heard sounds from there that left no doubt about what they were doing there. Eagle, even without breathing, opened the door a little and photographed the love affairs of his colleague. Here is the payback for refusing him as a man. Yera sent interesting shots of Misha. And Misha at this time decided to please his beloved. He cooked delicious meat, which Zoya loved so much. Suddenly, a message came to his phone. No. This cannot be. The man whispered to himself. How can this happen? What is Zoya missing? Misha did not understand how such a kind and sensitive woman could betray his feelings for her. At first, the man did not know what to do. The only thing he understood was that he didn't want to even see Zoya anymore. Therefore, he began to gather himself and pack his daughter's things. Then he sent the evidence of treason to Zoya and wrote to her in a message not to look for it with her daughter. Later, he will send a document where she will give up the child. If Zoya does not sign them, then these photos will be on all social networks. And Misha and his daughter went on a trip to his sister who lived 1,000 kilometers from here. It is there that he will start a new life. And who knows? Maybe over time, he will start to trust women again. And Zoya was already sitting in the car after amorous pleasures when she received a message from her husband. She was shocked at how quickly the man found out. Someone was following her. But who? And then she saw Yera leaving the room. He waved at her and smiled mischievously. Zoya almost suffocated from anger. But it was necessary to stop her husband now begging him to forgive her. And she quickly stepped on the gas pedal just to make it home. On the way, she ran over in her head all the words that needed to be said to win her husband back. But even she simply will not survive the separation from her daughter. Out of despair, she burst into tears and did not have time to react when a car drove up to meet her at high speed. Zoya woke up in the hospital with a strange feeling. She seems to have become somehow weightless. The two who came to her examined her and reported the sad news. Her spine was damaged from a strong blow during a car accident. Now she will be bedridden forever. There is no chance to get back on her feet and she needs to get used to the new realities of life. The doctor asked who could be called from the relatives who would pick her up from the hospital and take care of her. Zoya had number 1, but Misha and her daughter, she asked to dial her husband's number, but the number was not serviced. Therefore, crying bitterly, she realized what punishment fate had devised for her husband's insult. And after a few days, she was transferred to a special house where there were lonely people like her now who needed care. Her bed was against the wall. There was a big crack in the ceiling, which will be Zoya's only landscape for the rest of her life. The woman did not want to live like this. She would rather end such a life by suicide, but even here fate did not leave her a choice because her body was completely motionless. Zarya received her punishment, which she had to endure for a very long time now. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our